In the early 1970s, Grand Slam Club founder Bob Householder began keeping track of those who had taken all of the trophy types recognized at the time by the Boone and Crockett Club. Bob himself was one of the first people to achieve that accomplishment. His foresight into an amazing lifetime achievement was the forerunner for what is today part of GSCO's family of slams as the Super Slam of North American Big Game. This will be our third year to recognize those who have taken the Super Slam. The list is not a long one, but the time and effort required to reach this milestone, well, it's incredible. Join with us now as we honor these accomplished North American big game hunters. And please hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. As your name is called, please quickly make your way to the stage. Dean Bowman of Alberta has been a man on a mission, but especially in the last 3 years. We started off with some of his 2011 trophies, as 3 came from that year. 2012 was a good year too, and he got 4 of the 29 that year, including the Central Canadian Barren Ground Caribou, the excellent Columbia Blacktail you've seen, and the desirable Thule Elk and Shiras Moose. Moving into 2013, he went to Vancouver Island and got the fantastic Roosevelt Elk that you're seeing here. Then the last of the 29 was a Sitka Blacktail, and Dean went to Kodiak Island and finished up in a big way by getting as pretty and nice a Sitka as anyone could ever want. Oh yes, we have to show you Dean's big polar bear from 2009. James Brogan of West Virginia has been a tremendous supporter of GSCO dating back many years, including as a donor, auction donor, convention sponsor, and has attended all the conventions. You've seen his photo here receiving his Super 10 award the first year we recognized those, in 2011. In 2013, he was on stage to receive the Super 25 the first time we honored those milestones. Now, this year, we get to honor James because he's completed his Super Slam. You're seeing and have seen some great trophies that James has taken along the way. Hunters know that things don't always come easy, and such was the case with James while attempting to get to the Super Slam. It took him 2 trips to get to that final animal, which was the Shiras Moose. That magic number 29 was accomplished in Utah in 2013, and you see it from the photo that James did get an excellent Shiras to get the job done. The oldest photo we see from the Super Slam file of Danny Danell of California is an excellent desert mule deer from 1992. Beginning in 2000, Danny was relatively methodical, taking 1 or 2 trophies from the Super Slam list each year, and as a great GSCO supporter, received his Super 10 award in 2012, and then last year, he got his Super 25 award. Danny got real serious in 2012, taking 5 trophies that year, and in 2013, he got the remaining 4 that he needed. You've seen several great trophies that he took along the way, including an amazing blonde grizzly. The last 2 needed by Danny were the grizzly and a mountain caribou, and you've now seen those as well. Congratulations on getting the job done, Danny, and documenting everything with GSCO along the way. Kent Delegates of Texas has been a dedicated North American big game hunter for many, many years. He completed his first Super Slam several years ago, and he immediately began working toward a second, and the key word here is working. The last 3 he needed for that second Super Slam were a Shiras Moose, Roosevelt Elk, and Desert Bighorn. You've seen his Shiras Moose from 2010 already as the first photo that we used. The next photo was a 2013 Desert Bighorn, and the 2 fingers he held up indicated he completed his second Grand Slam, which he'll be awarded on Friday night. Frankly, all the next photos you're going to see are ones from his extensive file. Kent didn't get the second Roosevelt Elk that he needed for his second Super Slam, but heck, that gives him another goal for 2014, and look, we always need goals. Kent's been on board with GSCO for many years and was featured in the very first issue of Super Slam back in 2009. Again, he's an ambassador for North American big game hunting. Our next Super Slammer to recognize is Jay Ferny of Colorado. The last 3 trophies Jay needed were the Sitka Blacktail, which he took in 2011, the Thule Elk, which he took in 2012, and he finished up in a big way with outstanding Shiras Moose in October 2013. Jay's been at this hunting game for a long time, and we're showing you a sampling of his photos dating all the way back to a 1992 muskox. Jay's been a great supporter of GSCO and has been at all of our conventions. We're so happy that he's back this year and are most pleased to honor him for his Super Slam. By the way, we did recognize Jay for his Super 25 at last year's convention. Jack Grabenstein of Georgia completed his Super Slam and Grand Slam simultaneously with the Desert Sheep in 2013. Jack's been a dedicated North American big game hunter for 4 decades. He had a dream of getting all those recognized trophies and never lost sight of that goal, which of course included the Grand Slam too. We began honoring Jack tonight with a photo of his ultimate trophy, the Desert Ram. But after that, we backed up into the 1980s and showed you a good sampling. Next came a sampling from the 1990s, including his Quebec Labrador Caribou from 1995 that had Jack's great friend Rex Baker there by his side. We'd have loved to use more trophies from the 2000s, but by that time Jack's number needed had dwindled to only a couple. He did get his Rocky Mountain Bighorn during that decade, and it's great to honor this man tonight as he waited close to 30 years to reach his goal. Tomislav Victory of Vermont has gotten very serious in the last 3 years, chasing after North America's big game animals. Somehow we sort of figure our Super Slam program, which began in late 2009, might have influenced him. You've already been seeing a great sampling of the trophies he's taken over the last few years. It's pretty amazing that from his application we can discern there were 7 taken in 2011 and 6 in 2012. Matter of fact, in 2012, he was honored for his Super 10, but had far more than 10 at the time. Then it came down to the wire, needing only 2 more when 2013 rolled around. In October, Thomas got his polar bear, and his Super Slam trophy was an excellent Roosevelt elk that he took in Washington in November 2013. Thanks, Thomas, for keeping us up to date all along the way. Justin Dragazine of Ohio was honored for his Super 10 at last year's convention. At the end of his tribute video, we said, we sure hope that Justin could get to the Super 25 by next convention, but that would be a little out of the question. However, how about 2015, Justin? Wow, were we way off base. Not only did Justin get to the 25 for this year's convention, we're honoring him for the Super Slam. Frankly, Justin has set a record that very likely will never be broken, in that he took all 29 Super Slam animals in only 27 months. Now here's a quote from Justin about what inspired him. Justin says, "While attending the 2012 GSCO convention, I learned that a guy by the name of Pat Garrett had just completed his Super Slam and was the youngest person to achieve this at age 35. After some quick calculating in my head, I realized I could pass Pat and be the youngest at 34. But this meant I would have to shoot 25 different species of animals in the next year and a half. No wife, no kids, and no reason not to try it." Well, ladies and gentlemen, Justin did in fact become the youngest to complete the Super Slam, and did it in the shortest length of time. You've seen lots of trophies here and realize everyone was taken during 2012 or 2013. Wow, congratulations, Justin, on an outstanding accomplishment. It took Ken Whirling of Ohio 41 years from start to finish to complete his Super Slam. You've seen his cougar from 1970, and we threw in another photo from the decade of the 1970s, a black bear from 1972. As for the 1980s, we chose a brown bear to represent that decade. Moving along to the 1990s, you see a polar bear from 1996 and an excellent Columbia blacktail from 1999. From the 2000s, you'll see a Thule elk that Ken got in 2009. By the way, Ken completed his Grand Slam within that decade as well as in 2001. That set the stage with only 2 trophies needed, and Ken got them, with one being a grizzly in September 2010, and the last one was an excellent mountain caribou taken in 2011. Ken Wilson of Texas should be a familiar name in more than one way. He was a highly successful videographer in the early days of that industry. He's produced dozens of videos over the years. He, of course, is an extremely successful booking agent, but tonight we're honoring him for the fact that he's not only hunted around the world, but has certainly specialized in North America spanning 4 decades. We'll get to the trophy that completed his Super Slam last. We wanted to show you photos from all 4 decades. You'll be able to see a much younger Ken, but frankly he's aged well and hadn't changed as much as some of us have. Of special interest is Ken's 2002 Atlantic Walrus, which lets him join a very small group of Super Slammers who have that trophy to their credit as number 30. As 2013 rolled around, Ken only needed an Alaska brown bear, and you're now going to see that excellent trophy that he took in October 2013. Gary Young of West Virginia has been a very supportive member of GSCO and has been a regular at our convention since 2005. He's hunted around the world, but has also dedicated a tremendous amount of time to hunting in North America. You've been seeing several of his great trophies dating back to a cougar in 1992. Of special interest is that Gary has taken some 200 whitetails, and his 2006 Saskatchewan buck is his best to date. From Gary's application, we see he was down to needing only 4 trophies when 2012 rolled around. He got a Central Canadian bear and ground caribou and Thule elk that year. The final 2 came in 2013, with the bear and ground caribou first, and it was a Sitka blacktail from Alaska in December that completed his Super Slam. That completes our first group. Again, please make your way to the stage quickly. Now let's move along to the second group of documented Super Slam holders, and you're going to see that this is a very small group indeed. The Super Slam, has been stated, is a lifetime achievement, and to reach this milestone by any method other than rifle is almost miraculous. We'd like to ask you to make your way to the stage quickly. Steve Brogan of Minnesota has done a tremendous amount of hunting with a traditional rifle over several years. The stone sheep and desert bighorn you see here were taken in 1982 and 83, and Steve sure looks like a kid in those photos. He went on to complete his first Grand Slam in 1987. Something clicked with Steve when the new millennium came around, and he switched to hunting almost exclusively with a muzzle loader. You're going to see several of Steve's excellent trophies taken with a muzzle loader over the last 10 years or so. And they will include a huge polar bear from 2004 and a Quebec Labrador caribou from 2005 that's about as big as they get. There'll be others as well, and the name Steve Brogan is right at the top of the record books for muzzleloader taken North American big game animals. Congratulations, Steve, on becoming only the second muzzleloader Super Slammer to date. Jim Wandzel of Wisconsin is only the 21st person to document an archery Super Slam. And here's how Jim described his journey. I started my hunting adventure in 1990 by harvesting a Pope and Young Rocky Mountain elk in Montana on a self-guided hunt. Then my adventure took me on to hunt caribou and sheep for the next several years. In 1998, I became a 3/4 slammer. While waiting, I successfully harvested many other species. In April 2010, I went to Mexico in my desert sheep hunt and took a desert sheep to become archery Grand Slammer number 47. Now I felt the archery Super Slam was possible. I only had a handful of animals left. 2 years later, all but one remained, and I arrowed that record book Roosevelt elk in Oregon on September 21st, 2013. Well said, Jim. We're not only showing the audience your Super Slam elk and archery Grand Slam desert ram, but many others that you've taken along the way. Congratulations on joining the archery Super Slam ranks. That concludes our Super Slam Awards for this year. Let's give these recipients a big round of applause.